Nathan and Deuce
But yeah,
on
so
to
thanks
Dad
for
on the cell
listening.
phone.
What's on my phone?
Send us a message. If you send me an audio message, I'll play it. I don't care what it is. I don't like that you wear glasses when you drive. Whatever. Then we'll address it.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah, I think that's good. Anyway, I felt like an interesting topic that you wanted to talk about, because there
What's
was a
that?
movie. There was a movie that just came out about the whole. I think it's actually called Civil War, ain't it?
Yeah, Civil War.
And some people saying it's trash. I haven't seen it. I don't know.
Lots of people said it was trash.
I wonder why though. I wonder if it's trash because it's not a good movie, or if it's trash because people just tired of the narrative.
Have you heard of these things called argons, bro?
Argons?
I think
Nah,
that's how you say it. I'm gonna look it up real quick.
argon.
Uh,
What is it? Like a weapon?
no, it's like spiritual beings.
No, argons.
Yeah, I don't know.
No.
It's from the internet, so I don't know how legitimate it is.
Well, I mean, I don't have a taste on it, but there's a lot of stuff I don't. If I haven't read on it, then I don't know.
That might
But
be a chemical. I think it's a chemical too.
I think argon's a chemical for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But what about it? What something piqued your interest in it, or?
Well, anyways, these apparently there's a theory out there that these beings they don't have any physical power in our world. I guess Christians would probably lump them into like the demon category.
Yeah, okay.
But they're like spiritual beings that have no physical power over the planet, other than what they can convince people to create in their minds to manifest.
That sounds like
So,
the jinn. That sounds like the jinn, man.
yes, jinn is also, I think, another word for that.
Yeah.
So it's very similar. I don't know if it's the same thing. I'm not like an expert with all that stuff, but yeah, it's basically the theory is that these beings put out ideas and have hijacked media sources and influential people to get into our minds like negative thoughts, scary ideas. Have you ever seen the movie The Sphere with
No, I haven't seen it.
Samuel L. Jackson? Okay. It's about like a diving crew that goes deep into the ocean, and they encounter a sphere. Someone finds a sphere, and the military sends this team of scientists down to interact with it. And they end up touching it, and all the people that touch it, now whatever comes in their mind actually happens. So a guy thinks Samuel L. Jackson's reading like 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, and all of a sudden he creates the squid that comes out of the deep and starts attacking the station. Things like that. And so it's kind of like this similar idea. So a lot of people were saying that one of the things with the Civil War movie is that powers that be, are like trying to incite this into people. And I think it works on not only a spiritual level, but like a physical level. If people are worried about it, I think there's more likelihood of something starting,
Yeah, man. I mean, that sounds something similar to what people kind of always reference as a jinn. But
Yeah.
in any of those forces, people try to categorize them into, oh, that's a demon, that's an alien, that's a spirit, that's non-spiritual, yeah. But I think that the core that everybody keeps coming back to is the thought and narratives. And if you put a narrative out in the world on a big enough scale, you get enough people thinking about it, even if they thinking about it in a way that they hate it, it's still a narrative. It's still there. And it takes a long time to go away. It takes a long time to get out of the subconscious. That's the biggest thing. So if you see in headlines, right, then this is how people say, oh yeah, maybe a spiritual thing, they, them, us, we, I, you, right? All right, you have media sources. Media works in 5 different ways, 6 different ways. You see a headline, then you see a movie, then you hear it on the radio, then you hear somebody talking about it, and then the context is usually short. It's never a long thing. It's like, what would have happened to two people if these two groups, just started fighting,
Yep.
and that's kind of how they do it.
Yeah. 100%. So,
But yeah,
there's a lot of people that are out there saying, we got to get ready for something to happen. There's been several instances where people are already thinking it's happening with the whole border crisis in Texas, other states getting involved. But I don't know. I've been thinking a lot about it and thinking about the different aspects of it. And so I was like, oh, maybe this is something good we could talk about for a second because, I think we think a lot like just everybody else that's out there, so just wanted to bounce some stuff back.
So what are you thinking? Are you saying a civil war or civil unrest or a civil problem? Or how are you seeing it?
I don't think there will be a civil war right now, just because I don't think there are two sides that are capable of fighting each other.
I agree.
Like you have to have two capable sides that have the means to. Right now, it seems like we're in some kind of civil war, but really, I think it's just division of the country and civil unrest.
Okay. Okay. So division of the country. Who's the dividing factors? What's the dividing factor? You think it's all political division? Like
I think it's. I'm kind of learning now that I'm buying property in another state, and I'm having to go there and come back here a few times in the last year, and I just realize from one part of the country to another part of the country that the rhetoric is completely different.
Yeah.
Like the stuff that's being fed through the internet is completely different. Your TikTok and X and Instagram and all those things are different in other places. So I think there's some psyops going on with social media.
Yeah.
And in political systems. Like if you look at like a place like Portland, everyone is scared to say anything. Like it seems like a communist state right now. Like it's almost everyone feels nervous about talking to anyone about anything.
To talk.
Down to like food, down to like organic food. I don't like organic food. Okay, I'm gonna walk away from this counter instead of saying like, oh, why? What's the? People are just that concerned.
Sounds silly. That sounds
it's
extremely silly.
It's extremely silly.
Like, what is going to happen? Okay, it's a rhetoric, it's a narrative, but what do they think is going to happen if they say something that someone doesn't like? You think, I don't even know, like, usually people stop because there's a consequence. If I do this, then this. But what's the consequence?
Okay, well, we learned this in church. What happens when you're involved in a line of thinking inside of an organized thought system? The thought system being the Christian religion or the faith that we experienced inside of a building. What happens if you start asking questions inside of that about the legitimacy and the factuality of that religion that you're part of? What happens?
Everyone gets highly offended. Only those who really have a true understanding actually can have a conversation with you. That's just a very, very, very small percentage, usually 1 or 2 families. Everybody else in that church gets mad and say that you're causing problems or you're doing something wrong. And if you know what to do, you just go to another place that actually can understand what you're talking about. But most people don't know that, so they end up getting ridiculed or embarrassed, and then it takes forever for them to have someone to even conversate with. They basically get ostracized and kicked out.
And when they go to the next place, do they feel comfortable about bringing that up right off the gate?
Usually not, unless
Usually,
they go to a place that's already, oh, we're about this, you
yeah,
know, we're about this thing. That's what we do here,
yeah.
you know. Unless they find that, no, you go somewhere, you just go somewhere different, and you shut up. That's what I don't do that, but I know that's what happens to a lot of people. They get isolated.
Well, what has happened, in my opinion, in the city center area of Oregon, specifically Portland, is they figured out how to do that to a whole entire state by using protests, COVID, um, media outlets, and social media. So now you have people that are living in a state where they've lost friends, they've lost family members, dude. Like, people in their family won't even talk to them anymore, and that is
Jeez.
commonplace. If you talk about even like one political party that's on the side that you're not supposed to be a part of here, according to the rhetoric, if you
Yeah.
even say, oh, they're not so bad, you have families like not talking to you anymore, or people
Man,
in the family that will get physically violent over an idea or a thought.
I don't know what that feels like, but I can imagine it. I have no clue what that doesn't even make sense to me, but I understand that happens in a lot of places, a lot of families. The fact that if you have a different thought, your family's like, I'm going to fight you. Come on, man. That's deep for no reason.
Well,
That doesn't even make sense.
it might not be as harsh or serious, but from the times that you've told me, I've felt a certain way because someone looked at me because of my skin color and had an idea, or it's not the same thing, but from what you've told me, I'm like, oh, maybe this is what it kind of feels like to be someone that's not appreciated for who they are. you know
Yeah,
and
but
it's almost everybody right now, unless you're like a person who goes around speaking the narrative, then you are an outsider. You're less than human. You know, you're almost less than human and need to be arrested and re-educated on how to talk and how to think. There's no more. There's very little room for free thought and free thinking.
huh? That's almost. It feels light to me because what you're talking about is all thoughts, right?
It's
And
all thoughts.
you kind of don't know if someone's thoughts until they open their mouth.
Yeah,
So that's not, the judgment part is kind of interesting to me, that someone has to say something for you to now judge them differently. And then they say one thing and you judge them differently immediately. I mean, it just sounds crazy to me. It sounds almost just like, not even hypocritical, but just, if someone has a different thought and you can't just say, oh man, this is my thought, this is your thought, and that's it. I don't understand why it's not that way. Like, I don't get why a thought would make someone angry, or even to the point where it's making people not want to communicate, not want to say, "Oh no, I believe this." It
yeah.
should be that simple. I don't. But I do see how people get physically disrupted when a different idea, or political idea, or spiritual idea comes up. People like go almost two ways. They almost go to the breakdown side, or they go to the physically angry side, which I don't even know why. It's just someone saying, "No, I don't believe. I don't think that's the way it is." You
Well,
know?
it's education, man. You've heard these professors and comedians talking about going to colleges where you're supposed to have that's your place to learn how to think for yourself.
Yeah,
But they're being taught in schools that if Deuce comes in here and says something that I don't like, it's causing me physical damage. Like, it is the same as him punching me in the face.
man.
And
No, it's
I need to take it. I need to take it as it is such. So now he's violating my person, violating my mind, physically assaulting me with words. Like, even though none of that makes sense, that is what is being taught.
they've never been punched in the face. They've
You're
never been
right.
punched. They've never been punched in the face.
You're
You know.
absolutely right.
Yeah. That's. But I mean, okay. So what do you think that this? You think that will cause what type of? I don't want to say unrest. I don't know if that's the right word right now. But like, what is that gonna? Now that you got two people with these upset at another person because of their ideas. So both people upset at each other because of their ideas.
Well, and I just want to say one thing
Yeah.
before I answer your question. The funny thing to me about this is the ideas that we're supposed to be having and carrying around with us. The ideas align with the radical groups that are the ones committing actual hate crimes and atrocities and vandalism, tearing down statues, doing all this illegal stuff. And they're saying you should be thinking like these rioters and these, it was the Black Lives Matter crew, it was Antifa, like all these people that are very negative, very like it's the radical parts of them. They were telling everybody, and still to this day, in a conversation, you can be like, "Oh yeah, I'm part of Black Lives Matter," and you'll be fine. But if you sit in a restaurant and go, "Man, I think Black Lives Matter is probably not the best organization to be a part of," you might get kicked out of a restaurant.
By
Even
who?
though
This is
by
this is
by the general public or sometimes the establishment, depending on where their politics are.
that's always the question. Because I feel like the people who you think is going to represent that group, that organization, they ain't worried about that. You
Oh,
know
they're definitely worried about it.
what? No, I'm talking about like you. I think that when the Black Lives Matter movement started, I think that people thought it was going to represent black people, and it was
Oh, of
going to
course.
be
I
enforced.
thought it did for a minute.
Yeah, and everyone thought, oh yeah, this is black people are part. Then I think just like black people always do, we say, okay, what's this about? And we start asking questions. Wait a minute.
Yeah, yeah.
Wait, hold on here. We are here trying to be peaceful, and these motherfuckers
We're
over here coming up and tearing down. That's not what we're about. Oh, I see the game. Y'all using black people to for your whole holy narrative, and then now you have a reason to stand on about the things you want to push politically or whatever or financially, and that's what I'm saying. Like
and then the black people started looking at the money.
oh yeah, we
They're
saw
like,
that quick.
"Show me the check." Oh,
Where the
who's
money?
getting that?
Where the money? Oh, checked out. Close the book. I'm focused somewhere else.
We gotta run. We gotta
Oh
get out
yeah,
of here.
I'm not here no more. Because they were out in the streets, they were doing peaceful protests, and then the news came in, and who did the news focus on? Oh, the radical side of it, like you said, right?
Yeah.
And then so I don't want to be associated with that. I'm not out here for that. I'm out here trying to get and fight for what I believe is right, but then it gets misrepresented. So
Look,
yeah, I think it's a narrative.
if you're saying, "Hey, let's go rally," if someone comes to me and is like, "Hey, there's some injustice going on. This person's been imprisoned or killed by police officers or whatever you want to do," and this they want to go rally to support awareness of injustice that's going on in the city, I'll go, dude. I would love that. But as soon as I saw what was going on with Black Lives Matter and that whole thing, I was like, I can't be a part of this. This is not what people think it is. There's something very wrong here. And now we know.
Well, okay, and then the other side too, I look at all these groups. I look at not just Black Lives Matter. I look at Trump supporters too. I look at everyone who has these groups. These groups don't even make sense.
No.
And they try to say, "Oh, Biden's bad because of this." Well, okay,
Yeah.
I understand your point. Yeah, maybe he should not be taking a poop in his pants. All right, we can agree with that. But then you can't go to the other side, and then you show up somewhere and you see someone who looks a certain way who thinks different. Oh, we need to whoop his ass. Like, okay, how does that even correlate? All these groups. Anytime you have these groups, the narratives don't line up. You have a spectrum inside of the group. You have someone who's level-headed and thinking, I'm supporting this person because this, and this. You got the other side of the spectrum. I'm supporting that same person because he gonna kick all the immigrants out. Like,
Yeah.
that's the imbalance that causes I think can lead to like we talking about like unrest or problems or arguments or fight or something. I
Yeah, and
mean,
look, I'm all for even the organization as it exists, the way it's set up, the way it's ran, of the Black Lives Matter movement. I am happy that they exist. Like I'm happy that they have the freedom to do that. But if it's causing physical violence and if it's misleading people, um, I'm not okay with it. It's just like the Proud Boys. You got this sneaky little title in there. Aren't you proud? Aren't you proud of your country? Oh yeah, I'll join that. Then you get inside of it and you realize like, oh, this is not what I thought it was supposed to be. This is we're a half
wait
step
a
away
same
from
thing.
some white robes here.
Wait,
So
wait a minute. Wait a minute here. Wait a minute here. I
I thought
was.
we were proud. This
You
is
see,
wild.
you see now you got these two groups who went into something thinking something else, right? And you start analyzing. Oh, this my people. This my group. Oh yeah, okay. Wait a minute. Why y'all pulling out? Why y'all
Yeah.
pulling out sticks and shit? Well, I mean, that's not what it's supposed to be about. Red. Hey, Red. What's going on here? I thought we were just having some coffee and talking about getting our taxes lower. Nah, buddy.
No. No.
You know. But I agree. I agree with that point. I do think that I don't know if I feel like when you create groups, you're giving a voice to people who would never ever say those things to anyone in public. Right? It's
Yeah.
easy for me to stand behind this thing, put up a flag, put up a stick, go on a
Yeah.
march.
Yeah.
But if someone asked me that question, they would never, ever, ever say it in
No.
anyone's face.
No.
It's easy to put a flag up. It's easy to put to make a sign. And I'm not saying it's easy to go out and just get thrashed by something, but that's a powerful thing. That's why people create these groups. That's why they create these hats, these logos, these the chants. This is what injustice look like. That's what you do when you're on the football team to get you hyped up. You
Yeah.
know you about to go out there and get whooped. But if you say, "Yeah, we the best," over and over, you start feeling like you the best.
Yeah.
But then you go out there and get smacked. you know. So I mean, but that's I'm still wondering. Do you think that it's going to lead to like a
Yes.
problem?
So to get to it, I think they want it to lead to a problem. Someone out there is trying to get it to lead to a problem. I can't see it happening as of yet, but if you look at something like is it January 6th where the White House got stormed by the Trump people?
Oh yeah.
Okay, if you look
no,
at
well,
something,
Q people, right? That's the proper way to say it. I don't even Q.
yeah,
QAnon.
so there was Q, there was but I don't even think the people that stormed the White House were Q. They were some kind of provocateurs, right? Like paid
Oh.
people that that's the theory that's out there.
Oh,
and
you go
there's been several things that I've seen and watched where people are like, yep, these people were paid. They weren't part of the protest. They just, and the police let them in the back door. There was security involved with it. So unless something like that happens, I don't think we have an issue. But in our country at this time, dude, it looks like there's certain groups out there or in different countries that are like, this would be very beneficial for us if people could start fighting each other in the United States. I definitely think that would be beneficial for a lot of countries I can think of off the top of my head.
Yeah,
but
100%.
I would say the likelihood of it right now, if I can just guess from my uneducated, like just walking around the streets, not doing any research, I'd say we have like a 30% chance of civil unrest. I'd say we have like a less than a percentage of for civil war.
I like the percentage gauge. About 30%.
I mean, I'm just saying so people have a reference. I don't want to say Yeah, we have
It's what
parks.
you're thinking. It's what you think. I
Yeah,
get it.
just off the top of my head, I have nothing actual to back that up with. But
But okay.
let,
But
let me ask you the same thing. Do
sure.
you feel like something like that's about to happen?
Nah. And I need to probably emphasize why I'm saying no, because it's not like I don't think that people are not gonna get split and argue and fight. I just think it's not gonna be a physical battle
I agree with you.
because one, I don't think Americans are fit enough to argue with anybody physically anymore. I think
Hmm.
that I think that's gonna be. I think people who are in the place that they can actually do something, who's trained to do something, they're probably not even gonna waste time with something like an argument over
Hmm.
what people are arguing about. Because they see it as not serious. It's kind of like even for me, like I don't see people's words offending me. Maybe because I grew up a certain way, but I what are you gonna really say that's gonna hurt my feeling? Like so I'm not even gonna waste time get into a physical altercation because I know how dangerous a physical altercation can get very fast, right? I know the consequences of a physical because people talk like that. Oh, we need those people, or we're gonna do this, and I'm gonna get up and go do it. And you don't know what that can turn into in a second. You've never seen it, so. But I do think that the bigger problem for me that I would see is the influence of people making decisions based on a political side, spiritual side, religious side that's influencing them to think or choose a certain way that could affect a lot of people. Like I'm just gonna use one. I use Trump a lot because I feel like that branding, the people who branded his campaign, did so good that even in the worst situation, his branding is gonna cover up anything that happens. And even if Trump had a bad idea, right? If he had a bad idea, people will still support it. People will still support it and be proud to support it, even if it's hurting them. That's what I think that is going to go bad because, like you said, then on the other side, those who are kicking people out because they have a thought, because they're thinking the other way. Oh, if you like Trump, then you must be a this or that Nazi. They jump to words like that. That racist. They jump to the extreme words like you must be that if you think Trump is positive. I think that psychological part is going to be way heavier because people are going to start making decisions financially. They're going to start making decisions with community, separation. They're going to start making decisions with education, right? Because you have people in certain positions now that's getting ideology and they're making decisions for kids, our kids, my kids,
Yeah.
your kids, and that's why I think that even a bigger problem is because it's now we all live in the same country. We know that everybody has a part of it to play, and they add into it and all this different stuff. But then now, we separate now. The person who lives right across the street from you, that person is my enemy now. You know, so we're not gonna do community with them. We're not gonna talk to them because they have this thing.
And we're never going to ask them for help.
Never, never. They're done.
We
Done
need to
though.
go. We need to go online or ask the government for help, not our neighbors.
And that's the type of civil argument, internal argument that I think is happening. And the narratives about people, just narratives about people. If you're an immigrant, you're this. You know, if if you like socialism, you're this. You know, if you think that people should get help, money from the government, you're this. And it's like, man, none of that stuff even fits anymore. It doesn't even like.
No.
It's just like it's not even a narrative. It's just words people are just regurgitating now. Because it's easy to say. I've never looked at it, but this is my thought on people getting money from the government. They shouldn't because of this. They never had to worry about that in their life. And then it's the
Oh, you're
opposite.
that type of person. I see.
Oh, yeah,
Okay. I
yeah.
can't
See,
talk to you anymore.
exactly. not, not like, man. You know, why? Not asking the question like, hey, man, why do you say that? Oh, man, when I was, when I was young, me and my daddy, we had to work and we worked hard and we built our business. Okay, that's your story. Now, are you willing to hear my story? Nah, not everybody can do that.
Yeah.
Everybody can do it. You know, I, I, and there's also the other side too, right?
Yeah.
Now, my mama been poor, my daddy been poor, we poor, and there's nothing we could do about it. And there's always two sides to it.
Yeah.
That's why I think it's being lost. Like just the understanding of like, I agree with you here and I don't agree with you here, and that's okay. I, that's why I think that civil argument inside of this country of America is being tore up. It's
Well,
it's
just
it's
just look at the home, man. Like, look at where we are at the house. You can't come home to your parents with a radical idea. You can't come home to your parents with the fact that you're like thinking about living a different style of lifestyle than they know. You see these videos of a kid coming in and saying, "Dad, I think I'm actually a Republican," or something like that.
Mhm.
And one of the parents just flies off the handle and has to leave the room. It's like, I did not expect my kid to be this way. Doesn't even hear him out, just walks out of the room, you know?
Dang, bro.
And it could be anything. And it's like, if you don't have those conversations with people, how can you, one, figure out where they're at to meet them and have a discussion, and they can't hear what you have to say about it, which might help them as well.
Yeah,
So we're losing that.
man. Well, I mean, okay. So what do you think? How do you see things playing out? Like, how do you see it? If you had to have an idea, a thought on it, like,
Uh,
what would be the concern?
so I think initially, maybe what I'm seeing right now, and I kind of like it in a way. I wish people could just come together and get over this stuff, but I don't see that happening necessarily. Maybe it's gotten a lot less since 2020. Like I've seen it go down some.
Mm.
2020 was a wild time. 2021, that time was just crazy, and now it's kind of stepped back. Um, but initially, I do see a lot of people moving to certain areas that align with the way they think, which is one of the things I am doing. So I see that happening initially. Like there's going to be more migrations of people, all the people that left to go to Idaho, to go out there. What was that called?
I
Uh,
forgot.
the Redoubt, or
I don't know. I forgot.
but yeah, people going out to those type of places, or just going to a certain city that's a little less crazy. There's people moving to Portland here because they like the ideals and the way that they handled the last few years. Whereas I'm the opposite. I'm like, I don't like the way this place has handled itself, and it's kind of scary getting asked for your papers at a restaurant before you can sit down and eat, and getting kicked out because you refuse. I mean, I don't think the veterans died in the wars so that we would have that opportunity. But
Mm.
yeah, I see people moving initially, and then I guess if that doesn't help, um, and that might be another more opportunity for these factions to like um, form up and cause a conflict. But I think it actually is going to help things better. I think people are going to be able to see. I could be wrong about this because people don't do research like this, but if you want to look at a city that thinks a certain way and then look at the economy of that city and go, maybe that's not the best. I see what they're doing and I liked the way they think, but the economy is trashing. There's tons of homelessness, tons of drug use. Um, maybe this isn't the right direction, but the state over here doesn't do that stuff. They still uphold the laws that we've set up in the early times of America, and they're more about freedom, freedom of speech. They let you say anything you want, and the government's not that strict there and allows businesses to operate how they want to operate. It doesn't shut them down or fine them for whatever it feels like. And the economies are thriving. People should be looking at that stuff and going, hey, if we want our economy to be better, maybe we should start acting a little more like this group. But
Yeah.
I don't know. One of the things I did want to talk about is if there is an issue. Oh, sorry. Did you have a thought?
No, no, no. I, it's not really a thought. It's just, I feel like anyone that is finding people who think like them is always negatives and positives to it. But I feel like there's
For sure.
a larger faction of like people, because you're talking about the economy, and I don't know, man. I always wonder when people are gonna really get tired, because a lot of people are in a economic situation, and I don't know if the political jargon is gonna last as long as people think. I don't know if they're like, I'm a part of this group. You can be a part of a group, but if your family's suffering, how long can you stick with that group? You know what I'm saying? Like that's the
Uh,
hardest part.
well,
But and then I don't think people are gonna do anything like necessarily en masse do anything about it either. If I'm being honest,
well,
only those who choose to do it.
yeah, and they talk about it. He talks about it in Sun Tzu's book, Art of War.
Oh yeah,
You know how you can kill people's family members and they won't rise up against you, but if you start messing with their money and their livelihood, that's when people start to revolt. And that's kind of what's going on right now. Is people are running out of money. Not yet, not to the point where there's like people stealing food that I know of. I mean, I'm sure that's going on somewhere, especially with all the immigrants coming to this country and not being able to get jobs. Some of them are going to have to start stealing food or stealing things to get, money. But as far as the general public of America, I don't really think that's the case yet. Like, we haven't seen that a lot that I know of. But I think you're right.
look, man. Right now, it takes a simple move for that to happen. I mean,
What are you thinking?
water scarcity is a real economic driver.
That'll
Like
do it.
like black when I look into this stuff kind of deeply, and when companies like, I mean, I hate to always use BlackRock, but it's just like the easiest name list. But a lot of Wall
Everyone
Street,
knows who that is.
yeah, private equity funds, even I forgot what they call it. It's like foreign funds, companies that form. I forgot the name of it. Sovereign funds, I think it's called. But from other countries, they're going to places like Arizona or and buying land. Now these are foreign countries buying land and digging wells deeper than what the average person can put on their land, and sucking all the water out to grow crops and to ship it back to their country, right?
Oh, I didn't know about that.
Oh yeah. It's
Huh.
called Sovereign Funds. I think the name of it is. But you read financial like like information packets with no one ever reads. People who go out and get all these statistics and data, and
Yeah.
they lay it right out like, oh, this is going to be profitable because you know this is how much food is going to cost, and like your biggest meat, your biggest meat producer in the country is owned by partially other countries, and they'll tell you like, you know, and by next year, bro, like food prices, meat prices can go up 20-30%. And you got to imagine, bro, that don't sound like a lot to people, but it add up, man. It add up to people's pockets. Like, and that,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. Like, I wonder what will it take for people to say like, all right, this is enough, you know, and and when that happens, will what you're saying happen? Then you start to blame instead of looking at what a problem is, you start to blame the other group. You know, oh, it's because of them. It's their fault.
Yeah.
That's to me, that's always the wrong answer. It's like it's not their fault. That's what you think, but it's really, you're looking over here, but the boogeyman's over here just catching that change, collecting that change.
Yeah.
So,
It is a little concerning to me hearing like rumors of people who work for the government, where they say there's tons of contracts going on right now to build detention facilities in every single state.
mm,
Uh, when the ICE detention centers are completely empty. So it's not for the immigrants, you know, but they're building them for something with individual holding cells, you know, solitary confinements. And they're building like
ooh,
large scale ones. And then at the same time, you also hear these stories of underground bases that can hold like hundreds of thousands of people. They have restaurants in them, and the military spent the last 10 years, maybe even longer, building these things. It's like, what is that? It's,
I don't know.
you see,
I don't know.
you see,
I don't know.
you see FEMA starting to roll out in places, even though we're not in a state of emergency that I know of. Um, you start to see just weird reports of like, hey, they're going to declare a state of emergency here. And granted, I'm getting a lot of this stuff just from the internet, so maybe I'm maybe I'm already listening to the Argon's fake crap so that I manifest it. But you know,
But that's why
I'm still listening.
that's all right. That's all right, bro. I mean, it's just it's good to think about like what you want to do for you and your family. What you want to be set up like. I think about it. You know, I try to not think, oh yeah, this is gonna happen, but I'd rather be set up. I'd rather be set up with meat. I'd rather set up with food. With like I'd rather be set up with water. Right?
Yeah,
Why is that gonna hurt? That's not gonna hurt either.
no,
Just in case.
no,
You know.
no. No one was saying that during any wars that have ever happened. Like, imagine even if like World War II was going on and you had to pretty much give up a lot of your metal necklaces, you know, your cooking pots and pans just to make more weapons for the war. Like, wouldn't you want to be set up to have your own water source, to have your own little bit of food? Because if everyone's eating like soup down in the city every day because they're at war, wouldn't it be good to have a nice little crop of something? Like, at least you get lettuce a couple times a month. At least you get some veggies, some tomatoes, a little bit of
Yeah.
corn, whatever you can grow. Maybe you get a radio system set up because as soon as something happens, it'll be unaffordable and unattainable. You know, I think that stuff's smart. I think thinking like that's smart. I don't think going overboard and not allowing yourself to financially move forward because you're investing in a scenario that doesn't exist. I don't agree with that at all.
Mm.
But having a few extra gallons of water in your house at all times and something to defend yourself, a little pack that you can just grab and jump in the car if stuff's happening in your neighborhood and you have to go somewhere. Um, Especially so something that allows you to walk because your car probably doesn't work or the streets are blocked and you have to walk. I think all that's good. But I don't have like a fear of this either. Like,
Hmm.
and I don't think people really should have a fear of it. And there's lots of things that I hear people being scared of, especially like, well, if everything goes down, man, there's going to be people going house to house and just stealing. And that's going to happen for a little bit. But
Oh yeah.
that's that's
Everyone. Sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
that's the wolves, bro. The wolves,
Yeah.
they're in small packs, they're unorganized, they can't get along with each other. The thing that they have to be worried about is the lions, man, because that's much more prevalent in America, especially in areas like Texas and in the
Bro,
South and stuff.
that's why when everyone, the Civil War narrative sometimes, I think overall, when you look at the people who are the most dangerous, there's a lot of good people out there, bro.
Yeah,
And yeah, are there bad people? Of course, there's bad people. But I feel like the good people outnumber the bad people 10
and
to half.
and most of the gun owners in America, most of the people who have the guns, when you're hearing statistics like 37 guns a person per capita, like crazy numbers like that,
Mm.
most of the people who have the guns are the people that you want to be around. Like, they're going to help you out. They're not the ones that are like, I've stockpiled this big old thing of guns because I'm going to go steal my neighbor's stuff. No one's doing that. It's always the criminals that are riding around in a beat up car that barely runs, you know?
But and but that, but think about that scenario. I think about that scenario sometimes. Like, what is there going to be to steal? Think about the American household. What are you
Yeah.
going to go steal? You going to go steal plastic crap?
Get that
What
PlayStation. It's going to
what
do
are you
you a
going to
lot of
steal?
good.
Yeah, what you going to steal?
Yeah.
What do they got? They got a tree in the backyard that with a mango. Okay, you stole someone's mangoes. You think two people gonna kill themselves over that? Like,
No.
what are you going to like? Really? You gonna go in someone's house to steal their weapons? That doesn't even make sense. If things going bad, you probably want to avoid the hardest conflict. You know, what are you going to steal? Now, I'm not talking about people who don't going to do evil things to people that's powerless. Nothing like that. That's a totally
Yeah.
different scenario. All right, that's totally different. But the thieving part, like what what am I going to steal from the guy who don't have nothing prepared anyway? What are you
Yeah.
going to steal from the house that they got two kids and they got some soup? What are you going to steal? Rice? I don't know. I don't know what people think. I think it will be. I think the arguments and problems will be in places where they start giving out stuff. Now, I've
Yeah.
seen that scenario. You know,
Yeah.
oh, come down to the government center to get your ration of meat. Oh shit, that's
Hey,
that's
he
where you can
took
have some
two.
problems. Hey, drop that 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 is why I think Americans will mess up.
Yeah.
That is why I think as soon as it's like something to get, as
Yeah.
soon as it's something to get, oh, it's gonna be fight. And then people gonna record it.
Yeah. He's a grown man and he got one, but my daughter is going to starve tonight.
Oh boy,
There
yeah,
you go.
right there. That's gonna set it. That will set it off. I don't think the not having is gonna set it off. I think the not getting what's being given out is what will set it off.
Dude,
Worst.
especially with the toilet paper thing that went down in 2020, 21. I was like, dude, if the Civil War starts anywhere, it's going to be in a grocery store parking lot, you know?
Iconic Walmart parking lot,
Yeah.
2024. The spark of Walmart. you know
Yeah.
that's what I really think. I don't think that the that American people are really in the place where they're like, I'm gonna fight my neighbor. Maybe I'm wrong.
I don't think
I
so,
know. I,
dude. No,
I know.
I'm in so many houses all the time. Most people would be in their crawl space if something went on for like probably a month before they came out.
Yeah. Yeah. I think so. I really think so. I don't see it, man. I think the comforts have been too good. I think most people who have the youth and youthfulness to be out and actually go do stuff, man, they're not going to fight against nobody. But I do think that the mind narrative, social influence, is the next war ground. I think that can be a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it already is. I don't think that it's going to be like that's mostly of That's mostly what we're seeing our civil unrest, if any, right now, right? Like it's always it was for the longest time, especially during the couple hot years of 2020, 21. There was lots of those little groups getting pushed to protest in the same areas by Russian trolls and other things. And so that was going on until people started realizing it. And it was like, okay, the leaders of those groups were starting to go, okay, we need to figure out who else is going to be in this area when we go at a protest, because we're getting played and it makes us feel dumb.
Well, they got played,
I'd feel dumb.
bro. What are people even arguing about right now? Like I thought about that question for almost months now. Like, what are people even arguing about? I don't even understand that. Like, what is the argument? What is the problem? Okay, the one problem people say, well, we need a different president. I'm sorry, man. I don't care who is the president. It doesn't make the difference. Like you think, oh, it was better when this person was in office and when this person. Well, if a person was in office and doing good, but you don't like them because of the way they look or the way they talk, or then
Yeah.
you wouldn't even admit that they were good. Oh, this person talks funny. I don't like them, so they're not going to do good. That doesn't even make any sense to me. But that's how. So, like, okay, the person you want in office. Let's stick with that. That's one thing that people argue about. Now, what's the other argument?
I think the other argument that's out there, because there's only like two, because I know exactly what you're saying. There's really nothing that's being argued about right now,
Mm-hmm.
other than the presidential politics, which is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. But it happens every friggin' time, every 4 years or 8 years or whatever that I've been alive. It just brings everything down and everyone starts fighting, especially in the last 5 years. Um, I would say 10, you know, the
Mm-hmm.
last 10 years have been very like, um, controversial. But then I think the other thing is that's being argued about now, I'm starting to see, is like the Constitution of America. Like, what should we set ourselves up as politically? Should we stay the course or should we change how we're doing things? And most of the people that are saying stuff, which is very few, and hopefully it stays this way, are talking about like a socialistic, communistic type of government. And I was thinking, like, this argument is mostly just in the city centers, so we don't have to worry about it because most of America lives in the country, right? Well, someone just showed me statistics. 87% of our population lives in concentrated city zones. Whoa. So
Yeah.
if they affect these cities with this doctrine, this mindset, um, it could be a real problem. I don't think we're there yet. I think we're still at least like 5-10 years off. I think probably AI and, um, robotics are a little bit more of a threat
Look,
right now.
I hear where you're coming from, but I think that like it takes we're one chess move away from people not understanding the value of keeping things the way it is and growing something different. So yeah, the voting system is set up that way. If you're the city centers are going to control a lot of the voting power, and those who are in the heartland, those who are not in the city centers,
Yep.
they're the choices that are being made is going to affect them.
Yeah.
And not that they're not going to have any choice over it. It's just that, yeah, the majority of the American voting power is in those city centers. So who would you want to affect if you're trying to make a change? I'm gonna go after the cities. That's where
Yeah.
the voting power is.
And you can start with the colleges where people's brains are not quite developed yet, and they're very susceptible to new ideas, especially if they're, utopian like, and they solve all the problems in the world with words, but don't actually show the historical effects. Because pretty much every political system has been tried out. It's already been ran.
And
I mean, there's new ones that we could integrate like the blockchain and stuff with, but they're all pretty much played out.
but the problem I always see too is like you got all these kids. Well, I hate to call them kids. You got people who are in college because it's not all kids.
Yeah,
People who
young
are in
people.
the young, yeah, and people who are in academia,
Yeah.
right? They have all these arguments and thoughts and utopian thoughts. But the problem that I always see is that there's never an answer against that's being done to make it seem like, man, you know what? Socialism sounds good in theory, but look what's going on in this economy right now. Like, imagine if the argument wasn't so much, oh, you're just dumb and stupid and young, and right? It was like,
Your
well,
hair's orange.
yeah, it's like this is socialism that you think will be great, but here's a real free capital market system with that look how we can thrive here, and look what we can build, and look how you can live.
So you never
But
hear about that.
you never hear about it, and you don't see it. All they see is like, damn, bills, company greed. They hear about it all the time. They hear about, oh, organizations are bad. They hear about all these things. So how do you combat that? You can combat it with words, but I think they got enough words. I think if you combat it with, here's the reality. Here's the system, and I think that's what we gotta make that the status quo of like, look at this system. It works because of this.
Yeah.
This is why we have capitalism. Is capitalism the best thing? I don't know, man. I don't have that.
Well, and we don't have capitalism right now.
No, we don't.
That's not what's going on. Just I learned that a while ago. I used to always say that too because that's a
Yeah.
lie that I was told as a kid
Yeah.
by my school system that we were a democracy and we were a capitalist society. We're not. We're a democratic republic.
Yeah.
That's what we are.
Closest thing we are. We are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're probably also a corporatocracy at this point. I don't think it's official yet, but that's definitely what we are on paper.
Oh yeah, 100%. 100%. I don't look. The strongest part of this country is when we had what they would call, an economist will say, having the strongest middle class. And right now we don't have the strongest middle class.
I would say it's probably one of our weaker classes, just shooting from the hip, just looking around.
Well, yeah, and what you're starting to have, I feel like there is a separation in the middle class where there are those who are, maybe they were not middle class, they were lower, whatever you call lower middle class, then they shot through because they did something, so not in a different percentage rate. I feel like that separation is becoming extremely clear. But other countries that are doing things that's not as profitable, we better look out, man. We better hit the turn. I don't know what the American government got up their sleeve, because they always got some up their sleeve. They hit that trick card on you. Oh, you thought you was gonna get some oil? Psych. They always do something like that. But if someone don't hit the button soon, China's middle class is the strongest in the world right now. Right?
Yeah.
It's the largest. And in the last, I don't know how many years, they've created brought the most people out of poverty. The most people out of poverty. And I don't know what that looks like. I don't know what that looks like for American money. I don't know what that looks like for American business.
Who's that?
China.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what that looks like for. I don't know what American system looks like under that toppling. Does it just stay the status quo, or does it go down? Does it go up for a certain group of people? Does it just get very nice for a certain group of people and very bad for another group? I don't know. I think it's a new territory.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the times when you have a situation where something drastic happens, like overnight, or a law gets passed and then they're coming through taking all the guns, that gives people a huge opportunity to revolt, especially if someone gets shot, especially if someone gets arrested, like there's martyrs. What I'm worried about is just this slow boil that I've seen kind of happening through my life. That's like we slowly, over time, dumb the society down, take away their freedoms for securities and safeties and comforts. And I see that happening a lot, and that's something we all need to be aware of, you know. I think that's the main problem. I don't think it's going to be like this, all of a sudden, Texas and California are now at war.
Nah.
Tonight, bombs are dropping. You know, it's not going to be like that. Don't be scared of that. I think be scared of what you're purchasing, who you're purchasing it from. You know, what you're doing with your time. Are you building something for yourself? Are you going to have a retirement? You know, are you growing? Did you learn a new skill this year?
To me, again, I think that is the most important thing that I think that if everybody could focus on, this is one of the best times that you can be alive. It may seem like everything's sucky, but I feel like information just has sped up so fast. You
I
get a
love
lot
it,
more.
dude.
You get a lot more bad information a lot faster now. But if you really think about it, famine, sickness, you know, medical issues. I know there's all areas to complain about, working, money. All these are areas where people complain about stuff, but I don't think through history, it's never been a time like it is right now where all those things actually have some type of solution. You know,
Mm-mm.
famine. I mean, I'm not saying people don't go hungry because people do go hungry and people probably not eating well.
Yeah.
But when have we had this type of abundance of food, you know, available? It might not be the best food. I'm not saying it's the best. I'm not saying it's the healthiest. I'm not saying it's the best thing for your body. I'm trying to go through all the things here. But as of right now, as of today, you can go to the grocery store and pick up something, right?
And you have lots of choices. You can pick the garbage or you can pick healthy stuff. Like, at least we have those options. Like, to me, that's a sign of a good, healthy economy.
That's one side, right? Yes, right. I'm not saying healthcare is affordable. I'm not saying that healthcare is
Beneficial.
beneficial. The healthcare system is beneficial. But you know what, bro? If you need to get something repaired, it can get done here. You know, I'm not saying because I hear from some of my buddies in Canada, they say that the healthcare system is horrible there, and I was like, oh, I thought it was great. I thought it was like,
I thought that's the system that we wanted.
yeah, everyone gets their stuff paid for. And I'm like, nah, man, it's bad. I'm like, okay, I'm not there, so I can't tell you. You know,
Yeah.
um, I'm not saying I'm not a this country is the best country in the world type of person, but I
Heck no.
am, a look. I've seen what happens in other countries, and there's places where you need to find something to eat, right? Your kids have to find something to eat. I'm not saying that that's the standard or we don't want to be, at least we're not there. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that there's a lot of information flying at you
Yeah.
about how bad stuff is for everybody on both sides. It's bad because they don't like me because I'm this. It's bad because these people doing this. I think that's destroying people's lives. I think that taking on those mindsets of see those people over there, they're bad, and everybody in that group is bad is rotting people's brain, spiritual thought process, soul to the core. Because now you're practicing hate in your general
Yeah.
language. You know,
Yeah.
so I don't know.
Well,
Okay,
that's kind of why I almost hope that if they do something, if somebody does something, I hope it's like this drastic thing that happens all over a couple days. I hope it's not this slow boil thing, because that would almost be good for us. Once you see how resilient Americans are, we got business owners here, we have event planners, we got chefs, cooks, food distribution. People know how to grow stuff now more than they ever have because of the internet. America's very
Yeah.
resilient, I think. There's a lot of people that have way more education than they actually know, just stuff that they've learned through their life.
Yeah.
Kids know how to use computers now more than ever.
Well, we got to make the shift. Aliens need to land. Oh, you were asking about the Argon. I'm sorry, I forgot too. There was a group of not scientists. Well, maybe it was whatever. I think they were scientists, but it was a group of people who went down and spoke to a Peruvian tribe, and they showed them a picture of what they call the gray aliens, and they were like, "Oh yeah, we know those people. Yeah, we know those people. We talk about. We know them for centuries. You know, they're
Wow.
always walking through. Oh yeah, they live underground. They live underground, right?
What?
Exactly. This tribe. So that's what I'm not trying to throw off the topic. I'm just saying I'm bringing it back to the point like something drastic and shocking that can happen is like I don't know. Maybe something new needs to be introduced. You know, I know AI. Okay, yeah, that's something that's new that's being introduced. Money, the financial. Oh, that's another thing. You know, let the banks run out of money, whereas they might be kind of already out. No one really knows it yet, right? That'd be a big shift.
Well, the music industry and Hollywood are definitely out of money.
Done. Tech companies got the money.
For now.
For now.
Starting
You know?
to come over into the construction service sector.
Yeah, the new big boy on the block. Guess who the new big boy on the block is? Farmers, land, food, water.
Yep. Services.
The new big boys on the corner. Water, bro.
Yeah.
Water.
You got water, you got power.
Anyway, let me I gotta head back inside as it got dark. Then I gotta go inside the house.
Yeah, man.
This is good, man. We gotta keep going with this, and you know, I want to see what people have to say and what they think about it. So, I hope they leave comments and we'll answer the questions. I want to answer some questions. I want to have some conversation. I don't want to answer anybody's questions. I want to have some conversations.
Yeah, dude. And happy Father's Day to you. Happy Father's Day to all the dads.
Happy Father's Day. Happy Father's Day. I wish we had a post where all the dads put up their gifts for Father's Day. I want to see what people got.
Hey, put them on the comments. Let's see some gifts.
I want to see what gifts all the dads got for Father's Day.
And then put the Mother's Day gifts next to them so that we can compare.
Oh, they need to cancel Father's Day just for 1 year. Just cancel it. I just want to see what happens. Just cancel it. Give us like a, Daddy Break Day or something. I don't know. Just name it something specific so we know on this day.
And if your family totally forgot about Father's Day, we want to hear about that too, because that happens.
People forgot, bro. I know people forgot this year. I almost forgot. So, happy Father's Day. If no one told you happy Father's Day, me and Nate telling you happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day.
That's what two guys on the cell phone. That's what two guys on the cell phone. You haven't heard it? Learn it. Whatever not. The music stops.